Moments. Let's see who joins. Let's chat about Freemasonry. Any thoughts you have on Freemasonry, positive, negative, or neutral? Love to hear it. Like I was saying, or like you guys probably know, I've been a Freemason for just about 20 years. Became a Freemason in 2007. I started this channel to talk about Freemasonry, the ways that it was and is relevant to the communities in which it's located, as well as stories of Masonic interest. So let's give it some time. Let's see who joins. When I do these 1 a.m. streams, it's really just to hang out, chat. Let me know what you guys want to talk about. All right, let me just get this pinned. All right, hit that like button. Any thoughts on Freemasonry? Again, I don't have any specific topics for 1 a.m. It's mostly just hanging out, waiting to see who wants to join. Excuse me, I mentioned before, as you guys know, I'm also taking part in the Push for Better Challenge, doing 2,000 push-ups in the next 23 days. Another set of push-ups scheduled for today at 10 a.m., so about 9 hours from now. Hello, CEO. Welcome. Thank you for being here. Hope you're doing well. Have a great day. Hope you're having a great night, I should say. I just got back from Rose Lodge. Excellent time as always. Thank you, Rose. Really enjoyed the visit. Really enjoyed hanging out. We got the hearts. That might be Smokey the Clown. Oh, hold on. Just one sec. I'll be right back. Hello, Smokey. I think my cat is stuck in the washroom. Hold on just one second. I think I might have closed the door behind her. Oh, no, we're good. Never mind, we're good. Sometimes my cat will sneak into the washroom, and I won't see her. And then when I close the door, she gets stuck in there. It's very much a pain. I have to just leave the door open, to be honest. Anyways, I'm back. Well, no, in the washroom, not the washer, the washroom. And she just ran by me. So not the machine, the room in the house. I don't even know. I honestly live alone. I should just leave the door open. But nonetheless, sometimes for whatever reason, I'll leave. My cat will go in there, and then when I close the door, I don't realize she's inside of the room. How's it going, Smokey? Thank you for being here. Hope you guys are doing well. Anybody who joins, any thoughts you have on Freemasonry? Again, positive, negative, or neutral, please let me know. Any tips to going from a civilian? I would suggest do not become a gangster slash gangsta. That does not seem like the best approach to, for example, a happy and healthy retirement plan, if nothing else. Perhaps stay as a civilian might be a better approach. What's up, Nick Stat? Thank you for being here. I hope you're doing well. What is also up, Mr. Cool? Thank you for being here also. Well, I can't help you with becoming an Englishman. That is a question regarding the immigration process. Although Freemasonry did start in England and then, traveled throughout the world, including to India through British lodges. I'll work on getting your shine, I promise. One changed my username. Well, this live stream is all about Freemasonry. I've been a Freemason for almost 20 years, so any thoughts you have on Freemasonry, positive, negative, or neutral, I'd love to hear it. I'm from Canada, born and raised in Winnipeg, Manitoba, but currently live in Windsor, Ontario. Daydream, please hit like and subscribe. RD, please hit like and subscribe as well. So, changed username. If you have any questions about Freemasonry, please let me know. Ashes in your mouth. I don't think any of the rituals are particularly weird, to be honest. So, I would not describe them that way. The last ritual I watched was just tonight. It was a second degree, which honestly is my favorite degree within Freemasonry. So it was really fun to see. Second degree emulation ritual specifically. We are not running the world. Freemasons are not running the world, nor do we want to. That's not the purpose of Freemasonry. I do not know what it means to chase the light. I think if you mean light in a metaphorical sense, I think to be alive is to chase the light, otherwise known as trying to gain knowledge and wisdom. At least I hope that's what you're doing. I don't really see the point of being alive if you're not trying to gain wisdom or knowledge. Um, get yourself to sleep, Smokey, but thank you for being here. I hope you're doing well. Jerry, I think enlightenment, yeah, that's kind of the metaphor, right? The idea of enlightenment as knowledge. I think we should all be trying to be more enlightened as a general rule is a good idea. I don't know what the works and good bad karma the same mean. I mean, by definition, bad karma is different than good karma. I'm not sure what you mean by that. Pen Compass, it's Cameron Adamson. However, some people do call me Adam. I think it's because my last name is Adamson, and so sometimes people say Adam. Well, Mr. Cool, I don't, the way to enlighten yourself, in my opinion, is to find something you enjoy and think about it and think about why you enjoy it and how to be better at it. And enlightenment will naturally follow. I don't think there's one single path or one single way to be enlightened. So I hope you'll hit the like and subscribe button, if nothing else. Thank you for being here. I'm sure I know a couple, Gumby. I don't myself. That's what I can say. I don't smoke marijuana, nor do I drink or anything else for that matter. I'm very boring. Yes, I got a big nose. Edge say shy. Please hit like and subscribe. Oh, Jeff Bennett from Texas. Welcome. Thank you for being here. It's been a while since I've talked to you, so I hope that things are going well. I hope you're having a great day or great night. It's about the same time for you as me, right? I've talked before about how much I love Texas. Texas Freemasonry is so incredibly cool. I've been to lodges in Bogota, Colombia as well. Sorry, I was thinking of Bogota, Colombia. I have been to lodges in Bogota, Colombia, Rio de Janeiro, the Philippines, England, but I always think about my lodge visits in Texas. They have a special place in my heart, in and around the Dallas-Fort Worth area, as well as Gonzales, um, Texas, as well as Nogales. Sorry, Gonzales, Texas. Excuse me. I got it confused with Nogales, Mexico. Texas is a really, really awesome state with really awesome Masons. Like I said, I've been to lodges in Rio, I've been to lodges in Bogota, I've been to lodges in Scotland, in England, and nonetheless, Texas Freemasonry has a special place in my heart. The brethren are incredible. Awesome. Happy birthday, Pen Compass / Jeff. That's very, very cool. I hope you had a great one. Um, Strength, please hit like and subscribe. Well, I like to think I'm a pretty good looking Mr. Potato Head. How is Texas Freemasonry treating you, Pen Compass? I hope it's going well. I mean, Fabian Zion, I think architecture will always have a symbolic element to it. I think that's the nature of it, right? And that's the beautiful thing about architecture. It deals with certain symbolic elements, certainly geometry, geometric precision, golden ratios. It's a beautiful thing. One changed my username. It depends who you ask and how you define it. I'm not one who truly believes that. I believes that Freemasonry actually dates back to the Middle Ages, particularly the stone Masonic guilds of Scotland and England. So 1634, 16 between 1634 and 1717. Now, after Freemasonry had already formed, certain Masons claimed a connection to the Crusades, and you had the development of the York Rite and the Temple chapters as a consequence of that. The first Mason to make that claim was Chevalier Andrew Raymond out of France in 1737. But in my opinion, the connection is actually symbolic and allegorical. It's not literal. I think you had the Crusaders and the Knights Templar first. They were put to death basically by the King of France around 13. I forget the date. I used to know this. 1308, I think, but I could be getting that wrong. And then approximately 400 years later, you had the formation of speculative Freemasonry and the formation of the first Grand Lodge. So in England. So yeah, but if you want to know why there are some who argue that Masonic history actually literally dates back to the Templars, it was based on a presentation made by a French Mason by the name of Chevalier Andrew Raymond in 1737. Although Pen Compass may may be able to let me know if he has a different view of that because he is very knowledgeable about the history. I don't think I'm talking nonsense, but if I am, very sorry. I'm still available and doing things here locally in Texas. Nice. What would be the one thing that you're most focused on right now within Freemasonry, Pen Compass? It is that Freemason guy. Feral folk. I mean, I would say instead of worrying about what you'll be in the next life or what you'll be reincarnated, focus on making the best of this life is usually a pretty good advice, in my opinion. Um, Grandma Gertrude, please hit like and subscribe. Ty Croc, I'm trying to do this, so please do a super chat, just 99 cents. Help me turn my passion for Freemasonry into a profession. Um, we do not fight the Royal Order of Water Buffalo. We don't fight anybody. Nice Pen Compass. I'm very glad that your podcast is growing. Everybody, if you get the chance, check out the perfect. So check out Pen Compass, check out the podcast, check out Perfect Ashler Publishing and Lewis Masonic Publishing. I've actually done a few interviews with some authors through Lewis Masonic, most recently Kim March. Before that, Andy Albright. I've obviously interviewed Martin Fox a few times, and it's always a pleasure. The Waits experience, I do, not regularly, but I do play video games. Currently, I'm replaying Assassin's Creed Part 3. I like it because I like the Masonic connections. No, Grandma Gertrude Epstein was not a Freemason. You are incorrect on that one. In fact, I've already discussed conspiracy theories surrounding Epstein and the Masons and why they are a bunch of baloney. Mozo, please hit like and subscribe. I have no idea what the Hexen Zirkel is. I don't even know how to pronounce that. Sunset Bunny, I'm going to take that to mean I'm handsome for whatever it's worth. Nest, please hit like and subscribe. Ogie D's, please hit like and subscribe. Nice, Pen Compass. Keep up the good work. I know how much work it is to have a podcast, to hold esoteric events, and to present in person and online. So please keep up the good work. You're doing an incredible job for Freemasonry. And I remember having you on the podcast, and it was really very much appreciated. There is no such thing as the Mason Bible. Big bro today. What you're thinking of is honestly just the King James version of the Bible with a square and compass on the cover, usually given out as a gift to newer Masons. But there is no such thing as like a specific Masonic translation of the Bible. That's not how it works. Please hit the like and subscribe button. I mean, change my username. That gets incredibly complicated. As a general rule, though, and I'm not a theological expert, so when you're asking me questions about like free will, why is there evil in the world, I can exclusively give my opinion. Keep in mind, Freemasonry is not a religion. Every Mason will have his own understandings of theology and questions of good and evil. Hopefully, though, by being a Freemason, he focuses more on the good and not on the evil. But what I will say, or like aims himself to the good, and Freemasonry gives him the tools to aim himself to the good. I would say, though, ultimately, I've never been one who assigns supernatural causes for the weaknesses of humanity. And ultimately, I think evil is at its core weakness. More so than anything else, I think we as human beings are responsible for either the good or the evil within society, not any management from any great architects or spiritual entities. I got it right, 1308. I couldn't remember for sure if it was 1308 or not, so I got the date right. And yes, Friday the 13th, which is coming up actually tomorrow, technically. So there you go. Friday the 13th in 1308 was when the Knights Templar was destroyed pursuant to the order of the King of France. And then Approximately 400 years later, give or take, in 1717, the first Grand Lodge of England formed the premier Grand Lodge of England. And then in 1737, Chevalier Andrew Raymond from France claimed a connection between the Crusades and Freemasons. Um, Sunset Bunny. I am. Oh, I get what you said. All right. Well, thank you for saying I'm handsome. I'll take it. Most people on this stream say I'm ugly, so I'll take it. It's much appreciated. Yeah, so Nay Bella B 2011, Freemasonry, it evolved from stone Masonic guilds in the Middle Ages in the 15th, 16th, and 17th centuries. It was a trade union or trade guilds that evolved into social clubs or social groups. While some maintained their professional component and the trade or journeyman component, many others formed into exclusively social clubs or social groups. We would call them speculative Freemasons. However, they did maintain the symbolism and kind of the practices, at least metaphorically, of stonemasons. And so architecture symbolically is very important to Freemasons because it connects us to our stone Masonic or operative roots. Um, Best year, you are not created to be evil. I would not believe that. You may choose, but that's not the same thing as being created for that purpose. Well, welcome, Ty Kroc. I'm in Canada as well. Greatest country in the world, in my opinion. Um, we got people from all around the world on this stream, and don't get me wrong, I consider myself very blessed to have visited so many countries. But Canada is my home, so of course I love it. I think every Mason has a responsibility to love where he's from personally, whether you're from Texas, Ontario, or anywhere in between. Check out the Pen Compass YouTube channel. Check out his work. He does a great job. I am a Freemason, unprovoked violence. You know what you should do in terms of doing something unprovoked? You should hit the like and subscribe button more so than anything else. Timothy, you say you're 9 years old, in which case, make sure you have your parents' permission before being on this stream. Actually, because we got a lot of people repeating stuff, I'm going to put some people in timeout. You couldn't be a Mason until, depending on the jurisdiction, at least another 9 years, if not another 13 years. So keep that in mind. And go to sleep. It's 1:20 in the morning over here. Danny DeBoy, many Masons believe Jesus is God. Freemasonry is not a religion. However, Freemasonry makes no claims as to the religions of others. So I know many Christian Freemasons who 100% believe Jesus is God. Freemasonry makes no theological claims. I sit next to Christian Masons as well as other religions. The beautiful thing about Freemasonry is while it doesn't make any claims about religion, it does not denigrate or despise or revile anyone's religious beliefs, including Christians. And I've known many Christian Freemasons over the years. I would say the majority of Freemasons I've met have been Christian. While you're on a different time zone, because it's 1:20 in the morning for me, and even if it's 11 o'clock, get yourself to sleep. It's too late to be up. None of that is true. Best year, you've been looking up some nonsense on social media. There are no negative ramifications for being a Freemason, nor are there any gay ramifications for being a Freemason. So, best year, you're looking up some nonsense. Yakub, Freemasonry is not political. We have members who are liberal, conservative, left, right, center, and anything in between. The beautiful thing about Freemasonry is we are actually not permitted to discuss politics within lodge. So I could be sitting next to, a liberal, a conservative, or anything else, and it would not make a difference. They're my brother either way. In terms of me, I don't know. You have to define them because they're defined differently in different countries. In the last election, I'm from Canada. I voted for Mark Carney in the Liberal Party for whatever it's worth. Dell #aware. I don't know what you mean by that. I mean, the least important thing within Freemasonry is the payment of money. Like there are yearly dues you have to pay, which could be anything from the cheapest I pay is $25 a year to the most expensive is 250. It's certainly possible you can request, for example, benevolence or deferment, and if you can't pay your dues for a year, they will give you a break, let you get your, save up your money and then deal with it later. That's kind of understood because life is tough, things happen. Sometimes brethren fall behind on bills, they lose their job. They may need a bit of time to get back on their feet. And Freemasonry, one of the beautiful things about it is that Freemasonry absolutely will allow that if it can, if it's possible. Episodes with Martin Fox, owner of Lewis Masonic. Yeah, I mean, I've met Julian Reese. I had him on the podcast as well. I forgot to mention him. I love Good Morning, Dylan. I think Martin Fox is doing an incredible job. I think Lewis Masonic in general is doing an incredible job. And so, nothing but respect to Martin Fox. He was one of the guys I had on the podcast years ago, one of the earliest interviews. He was a really good dude. I liked him a lot. I met him actually when I was over in Scotland as well. So, that was really cool. Really great guy. It is not a pyramid scheme. Freemasonry is not a pyramid scheme because, amongst other reasons, it's not promising anybody that they're going to get rich or get famous or be successful or anything like that. You may be successful as a Freemason in the sense that, you'll develop skills, you'll meet people, you'll become successful in the sense that you will maybe get more out of life, but you're not going to become successful in the sense of you'll become rich or famous or, powerful or influential or any of that stuff. That's not what Freemasonry is about. It's developing a better life for yourself and being of service to others. It's not about being rich or famous as a pyramid scheme or multi-level marketing scheme would kind of promise you. Freemasonry is not a cult. I've talked about why it's not a cult many times, best year. But Freemasonry is not a cult. If you want to know why, check out my previous episodes. And it is not a pyramid scheme either. Well, I voted for them, Yakub, so there you go. Take that for whatever it's worth. Unprovoked Violence asked, can females be Freemasons? So within Freemasonry, there is, it originated in England and still exists, the Order of Women Freemasons. They've actually been in existence for longer than women have had the right to vote in England. They are a very active jurisdiction. They're also meeting here in Ontario and all around the world. There's also Eastern Star, which is a Masonic order for men and women. And there's also Rainbow, which is for young women, for females ages 9 to 21. It's like a Masonic youth group. Well, patiently happy, that's not a good thing to do, nor is that a Masonic thing to do. If you were a Mason, you would be respectful of other people's time and space and put your phone on silent. So put your phone on silent. Meme Wizard, I don't know what crucifixion has to do with this channel, but welcome nonetheless. The Elk Lodge is just a civic, it's another civic or fraternal organization. I'm of the opinion that the world is made better when we have multiple or as many different civic and community groups as possible, whether it be the Elks, the Moose, the Knights of Columbus, or the Freemasons. I think Freemasonry is the best civic and community group to ever exist, but of course I'm biased. I would love to see the Elks grow in stature and relevance within communities once again. So, yeah. Did they? I've never heard of that Meme Wizard. I know that many times Freemasons have been targeted by various political groups or various political entities, including, or at least not limited to kings. I've been involved in many Masonic rituals. Best year, please hit like and subscribe. I'm sure I'll be involved in many more. Elks are not part of Freemasons. Fiona, I'm pretty sure if he's doing so, it's from beyond the grave, and I'd be very concerned if he was saying that. I'd rather he not like my chat, for the record. Okay, so there's also the Social order of Buchan female. See, that's not one I've ever heard of before, Pen Compass. When I think of females in Freemasonry, I think of the Order of Women Freemasons. I think of Eastern Star. I sometimes think of Co-Masonry out of the Grand Orient, and obviously Rainbow as well. Hello from Canada. Welcome, Oscar De La Yenta from Israel. I've said it before, but I'm proud to be a member of a Masonic Lodge in Israel. Lodge Holy Land number 50. Um, Joshua Argon, I can speak exclusively for myself. Again, I'm not, Freemasonry is not political. There are many Freemasons who may love Donald Trump. There are many others who may hate Donald Trump. I personally am not a fan of Donald Trump. So you can take that for whatever it's worth. Not a fan of him at all. I've never been in quicksand. I feel like quicksand is just something on cartoons, but then I found out, no, it actually does exist. So there you go. Uh, Hello, Legend Jesus. Thank you for being here. As always, I hope you're doing well. Well, everybody watching this, please take a moment to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and thank you all for being here. Um, we're going to give it some more time and see who joins. Jeff, let me know what you think of my streams, if you've seen any past episodes and what you thought of them. Again, positive, negative, or neutral, I'd love to hear. I have no interest in contributing to shareholder value, but if you want to contribute to the value of this channel, you can like, you can subscribe, you can give a super chat. Just 99 cents helps out majorly and would be greatly, greatly appreciated. I'm very sorry you had a stressful day, Legend. I hope at least you're not having a stressful night. I mean, it's hard for me to imagine calling oneself a king and being a good democratically elected leader, because democracy, to my understanding of it, would be, I guess, allergic to a monarchy or a monarchical presidency. Having said that, I think it's not impossible to imagine the combination of monarchy and democracy. I mean, you could argue we have that in Canada, where we separate the head of state from the head of government through the governor general, which I think generally actually is a more efficient way to run a government. Um, yes, we do. However, the governor general represents the king, and ultimately political decisions are left to the democratically elected governments and the executive and legislative branch. Um, I have not thought of joining the Skull and Bones. I don't think I could. I think it's exclusively a college fraternity, and I'm even if I did want to move to the States and go to school there, I'm way past the point of being, going to college and joining a fraternity. I'm happy to be a Freemason. That keeps me busy enough. I've never been in a tornado, Travis. Tyler, dude is a YouTuber. Please hit the like and subscribe button. Don't know anything about the Order of White Lotus. Sorry, I can't help you with that one. I love the UK. I think the United Kingdom is awesome. I was just there in November. It was really, really fun. It was a beautiful place. My dad is from the UK. Oh, Jerry the King Lawler. That's really cool. I would love it if Jerry the King Lawler were the king of Canada. Are you kidding? That'd be incredible. It means I'm awesome, Timothy. Please hit like and subscribe. I never played the first one, but I did play very many times the third. And I like it. It's my favorite video game, probably. That or Dead Space. Penelope, please hit that like and subscribe button as well. That makes sense, Pen. I get that 100%, right? It's a lot of work organizing a podcast for yourself. So no worries at all. I just appreciate you being here. We're going to give this another, like I said, not too long. These 1 a.m. streams, I tend not to do for a crazy long time. We're just hanging out, waiting to see who joins. Again, any thoughts on Freemasonry, positive, negative, or neutral? I saw that as well, Yuri. To my knowledge, that email is baloney in that whoever wrote that had no idea what they were talking about. The first Masonic temple built in the New World was almost certainly in Philadelphia, right? Not at that address. Um, so whoever wrote that in the email was full of BS. I don't even think it was a Masonic temple. Like I tried to look it up on Google Maps. I couldn't get a picture of it and I couldn't find any records of it being a Masonic temple. So I have no idea what the person was talking about. What about hurricane? Never been in a hurricane. Legend? I have no idea. Like asking me if my father was not a Mason, would I not have been? I don't know. Because like how could I answer that question, right? Like I can't go back and I can't create a new kind of world or reimagine my life as though my dad or a if my dad were not a Freemason. All I can say is I'm grateful that he was because it introduced me to Freemasonry and helped ensure that I would join. If he wasn't, I'd like to still think my personality and fate would be such that I would want to join, but I don't know. I can't say one way or the other. Keep in mind what I would say though is you do not need to have a father or a grandfather or any familial connections within Freemasonry to be a Freemason yourself. Um, yeah, anybody can join. There's not a specific rule. You have to be the correct age, you have to believe in a supreme being, and you have to be willing to approach the lodge and express your interest in joining and go through the application process. The application process, they will ask you questions, get to know you, and it's kind of a both an investigation process in the sense of it's the lodge learning more about you, but it's also you learning more about the lodge. So you may decide during the process, you know what, I don't think Freemasonry is right for me, or vice versa. Oh, Johnny Hunter, that sucks. I'm very, very sorry to hear that. And yeah, I've known many Freemasons who were part of Elks, part of Moose, part of Knights of Columbus, despite what some will say. Um, Freemasonry is not is not a jealous mistress, if you will. Freemasonry wants you to be part of your community. One of the main reasons that Freemasonry is not a cult is that Freemasonry does not attempt to isolate you or to isolate anyone from other organizations, other groups, including groups within the communities. So you need to keep that in mind. Um, that is really strange to me, Oaken Hill Hermit. It seems like they're doing something wrong. My suspicion is that maybe a clandestine lodge. A lodge shouldn't be declining people unless they have familial connections, for the record. Harry Hawk, yes. So what I always tell guys is don't ever prejudge the situation because it's up to the lodges. So if you have a criminal record, whatever it might be, and you still want to be a Freemason, don't let that stop you from going to the lodge and expressing your interest in joining, but just be honest with them. Explain that explain you have a criminal record, explain what happened, explain the nature of the offense. Also, explain what you have done within your life to try and, make amends, to try and improve yourself, to try to, make any victims that there may have been whole, and you go from there. And then it's up to the lodge to decide. Certainly, if it's a more minor infraction and it was many years ago, the lodge may be more willing to, accept it and bring you into Freemasonry. The more serious the offense, the maybe less likely the lodge will be to accept it. But I don't think you should let the criminal record itself stop you from joining or stop you from applying. And then you just have to accept that the lodge will get the final say. But I've known Freemasons who joined who had criminal records, but who had also taken a great deal of steps to try and make amends for what they did and pay back their debt. Um, if you have a criminal record and you have not taken any steps to try to amend or improve the situation, that would be more concerning to me personally. Locker, please hit like and subscribe. Jammy, please hit like and subscribe. My suspicion would be it would be very hard to accept them into the lodge. I would personally vote against that application because the harm done is just too great. And many Masonic lodges do charitable work with different charities, including charities involving children, like Masons for Mits. So I would vote no. I suspect most lodges would say no right off the bat. I can't speak for every lodge, but I would think every lodge would say no. I've never really heard of a situation where somebody's applying for Freemasonry with that type of criminal offense. The other thing to keep in mind is if you are already a Mason and you commit a criminal offense, the proper status or the proper process is you should either, if you committed the crime, either demit from the lodge so as not to bring the lodge into disrepute. But if you do not, then you should be suspended from Freemasonry for committing the crime. Serve your time in jail, make amends, and at a certain point in the future, you can always reapply, explain what happened, explain the situation, explain what you've done to try to make things better, whether it is, for example, gone to counseling or gone to get help, and you go from there. Well, last beacon, please hit like and subscribe, despite my face looking ugly. Some Masonic lodges do, Harry Hawk. Some Masonic lodges do not. However, I personally believe every Masonic lodge should do a criminal background check. Now, again, I don't believe a criminal record should be an automatic denial. But I think knowing the information is incredibly valuable because the lodge should have as much information as possible before voting on the candidate or the applicant. And that includes knowing about whatever criminal records there may have been in the past. And again, let the lodge decide, but let the lodge decide with all of the information necessary, including criminal record checks and social media checks. I've even argued that we should have criminal checks and medical checks for the record. The more we have, the better. And again, the more significant and serious the offense is. I guess in Texas, they call it the moral turpitude disqualification. Basically, though, the more significant and harmful the offense is, the less and less likely it is that the candidate or the applicant would be accepted. I guess CEO, again, that is up to the applicant to describe or explain. So, for example, if the applicant was found guilty of a criminal offense but is choosing to maintain his innocence, he can go to the lodge and say it was an unfair trial and let the lodge decide. If let the lodge decide, I guess, based on his explanation, if they believe him that it was an unfair trial or not. In my experience, though, anybody who says it's an unfair trial and I'm innocent, I would significantly question that far more than somebody who said, I did it, but I went to counseling and I'm working hard to make amends. Thank you, MB Gamer. I can't tell if you're being sarcastic or not. I got to get my hair cut. It's usually a lot shorter than this, to be honest. Repo, please hit like and subscribe. Parisian, go poo. I don't know what to tell you. We should, I agree we should exist in a state of brotherly love, but we should also accept the fact that some offenses are so grave that they will bring disrepute to the craft if somebody's allowed in with those offenses. I'm not sure what the Frederick Wilhelm von Steuben Lodge, but okay. Thomas, please hit like and subscribe. So, Harry Hawk, a medical check would be beneficial for a few reasons. First, and again, you don't need to make it formal. You could always just ask the brother. Let's say a Masonic applicant has a medical condition where it's really hard for him to sit for long periods of time without being in a great deal of pain. It may be worth the lodge, or at least the worshipful master, knowing, so we can tell the brother, look, we have a long business meeting tonight or a long degree. feel free to like sit maybe somewhere more off to the side. And at any point you need to get up, stand, stretch, feel free to do so. Don't be embarrassed about doing so, right? Or he may say, let's say, heaven forbid, a brother has some type of medical emergency in lodge, like faints, or is it something happens and he cannot communicate to the lodge what's going on or what's happening to him. Maybe it's a stroke, a seizure, a heart attack, who knows. When the paramedics are called, the paramedics may ask, do you know if he's on any medication or has any medical conditions? Being able to provide an answer to that question could actually save that brother's life. So somebody knowing what's going on could actually be incredibly helpful in that circumstance for that brother. Or during a degree, I mean, there's nothing physically strenuous during an application process, but definitely there are times when you have to go into different, you know, positions. There's an altar. If the person has, knees really struggle, maybe you need to have a chair so you can sit down for certain portions of the degree. The more knowledge you have, the better you are able to serve a brother's best interests. So there you go. Absolutely, ashes in your mouth. If a brother is suffering from a medical emergency, his life is without question the most important thing. So if I'm the worshipful master, I'm letting that paramedic in the lodge ASAP. There's no question. Um, Diabetic, sure. This brother's diabetic. Again, the paramedic needs to know that. That's also why I believe if you are the worshipful master, senior warden, junior warden, treasurer, or secretary of the lodge, you should be required to have up-to-date first aid training, both regular first aid and psychological first aid, because one of those five, preferably all five, should be at every meeting, and therefore you can be assured that if there's a medical emergency, you'll be able to deal with it. Plus, I think just having your first aid training makes you a better citizen. So, um, I do not know who Brock Pierce is, but we don't have stones of shame in Freemasonry. No, Highlander, Freemasonry is not Satan worshiping, nor is it Satan worshipers. Um, I mean, if somebody were to say that to me, I don't know how I would take it. I'd be very confused by the whole thing. Being a 33rd is an honor, but it's not the highest degree in Freemasonry, nor is it the most important thing in Freemasonry. What matters is getting, in terms of the highest degree, it's the third degree and it's the Master Mason degree and it's being a worshipful master. That's as high as you can get within Freemasonry. And I've already made it there, so that's good enough for me. I mean, I don't care what people say behind my back. I'm sure people talk shit about me all the time, not just in Freemasonry, in life. What matters is what the people say to my face. What's going on? 658, thank you for being here. D3L, please hit like and subscribe. I mean, everybody does. It's human nature, right? We're always talking about each other behind each other's backs. I'm not talking about Freemasons. I'm just talking about everyday life. And I'm sure, by the way, very often they're talking positively about me as well, saying, oh, that Cameron's a great dude, right? The point is never worry about what people are saying behind your back, because it's a foolish thing to think about. It's a foolish thing to worry about, because A, you can never know what they're saying anyways. So it's just dumb. It's a dumb thing to worry about. Enjoy your life. Try to be the best person you can be and let the chips fall where they may. There's really nothing else you can do, right? Beyond that. Brown Freemasonry is not the Illuminati, nor is it Satanism. Please hit like and subscribe. Patiently Happy, please hit like and subscribe. Brick Top, please hit like. I think you already subscribed, actually. We are one sub away from 5,530 subscribers. I'm not a 33rd degree Scott Knight. I'm not really that interested in getting my 33rd. I have no issue with 33rd degrees, but my focus is on the craft lodge. It's on the third degree. Oh, there we go. Thank you, Highlander. We're at 3,530. Yes, my nose is a 10 out of 10. I got an awesome nose. What can I say? He is. I'd like to get him on the podcast. I think that'd be so cool to get Manny Pacquiao on the podcast. I'm not a big fan of his views on LGBTQ stuff, but he is a Freemason. He is a brother. And I'd love to learn about the ways that maybe his boxing career impacted his views of, let's say, Freemasonry, or if he took lessons from boxing and applied it to Masonic. So, Yuri, I've already talked about this on previous streams. If you go to the Epstein files and you're over 18 and you're allowed to search them, and you type in the term Freemason within the Epstein files, you get 11 results, the majority of which actually deal with a historical Mason who was the father of chiropractic, who died in 1913, as well as some random emails about conspiracies connecting Freemasons to the NWO, the Illuminati, stuff like that. There's no indication that Epstein was a Freemason, nor that any Freemasons visited his island, nor were involved with any of his atrocious, horrible criminal acts. Well, Juanito, in between eating corn, please hit like, please hit subscribe. Well, Mike McGee, fair enough. We still got over 3,530, so I'll take it. Well, if you type in Rotary, you get more results. If you type in John Stewart, you get results. If you type in the Protestant, you get a bunch of results. Freemasonry, in terms of groups, organizations, is actually one of the least mentioned groups within the Epstein files by far. Keep in mind, Freemasonry is not a person, it's an organization. And, there's even one mention of Freemasonry as it relates to Nat King Cole, the singer, right? So it has, there's no indication based on the searches that Freemasonry had anything to do with Epstein. So you can take that for whatever it's worth. Well, Bill Gates is not a Freemason. Truth, what that means is you've been lied to. The New World Order has nothing to do with the teachings of Freemasonry. I've never once heard the phrase New World Order mentioned within Freemasonry, nor any teachings of it. So you can take that for whatever it's worth. Yes, that's what we should do. When that's the case, then, for example, certain religions should have most mentioned. And by the way, my point is I'm not suggesting that any of these groups who are mentioned in the files had anything to do with Epstein. My point is conspiracy theorists will keep on claiming that Freemasonry is connected to Jeffrey Epstein, and they'll say it's mentioned in the Epstein files. So it's important to understand the context and the nature of it. For example, again, one of the most frequent mentions comes from an email in which, for some reason, Jeffrey Epstein was talking about the father of chiropractic medicine, who was a Freemason and died in 1913, 50 years or something before Jeffrey Epstein was even born. But I guess he was into chiropractic. I don't know, right? But that has nothing to do with with the issue at hand. It just happens to be a historical paper found in the files. If you know, you know. What I know is you should hit the like and subscribe button. And I would not consider myself a sheep. If you know, you know. The thing you need to remember is when it comes to conspiracy theories, how do you know that you're not a sheep for believing the theories, right? Unthinking cynicism or unthinking skepticism is just as bad as not having any skepticism at all, right? I don't know what that means, but I am a Freemason and proud of it. Trolling never had luster, for the record, in my humble opinion. Trolling never had any luster. It's people who are leading sad lives, and as a consequence of leading these very sad lives, feel the need to try to make the lives of others worse, which is unfortunate. But it's a sign of kind of what the problems are. Well, I don't know what it means to be an apologist for Freemason. I love Freemasonry, and I'm happy to talk about it. It's not for everybody, and that's perfectly fine. Kind of saying I'm an apologist for Freemasonry, it's kind of like saying I'm an apologist for my favorite movie. which I'm not a big fan of that term. I just love the movie. That's good enough. And I love talking about why I love the movie, for example. By the way, my favorite movie is Nightmare on Elm Street 4 and Nightmare on Elm Street Part 5. In terms of being naive, I mean, I've been a Freemason for almost 20 years. I've visited Masonic lodges around the world, um, in the Philippines, in Bogota, in Rio, throughout America, throughout Canada, England, Scotland. I've been to over 1,000 events. I've researched it. I don't know everything, but I'm always trying to learn more. How could I not? I guess it's always possible I'm naive and don't know as much as I think. I try to be open-minded to that idea, but I also try to remember and recognize that I have, in fact, seen a lot, traveled a lot, and done a lot, and I'm grateful for that. So I like to think I can trust my experiences. Um, Indeed, please hit like and subscribe. Uh, well, Swamp, I can say I've never seen any nasty shit, nor have I seen anything nasty. I've always said it before, I'll say it again. I've never seen anything in Freemasonry that I would consider to be quote unquote nasty, otherwise known as unhygienic, illegal, unsafe, or against anyone's civic, religious, or moral responsibilities. Um, Maybe not, man, John 99, but why not try? Right? Why not try? Even if the world cannot be fixed and you try to fix it, you have nothing to lose and you've still tried your best. And maybe the world actually can be fixed and you'd be surprised. I even don't even know if fixing is the right term, right? Maybe made better is a better way to put it. No, Yuri, that's a very kind of cruel thing to say. I think I'm going to have to put you in timeout for a little bit. I mean, Ian, I'm a member of a lodge in Israel and proud of it. The Grand Lodge of Israel. But I would say that, when it comes to one's country or criticizing a country, that's ultimately a political question. Freemasonry is not political. Personally, though, I think if you can have concerns about, for example, the country of Israel and not be an anti-Semite. Um, Tukey underscore 95. Maybe I'm Jewish, maybe I'm not. Does it make a difference? Within Freemasonry, welcome men of all different faiths and beliefs. I've sat in lodge with Muslims, Christians, Jewish people, Hindu, Sikh, Indigenous, First Nations, spiritual. I'm grateful for the religious tolerance Freemasonry demonstrates and kind of models for the world. Um, Jorn, I mean, one, I'm 100% handsome. Whatever else I am does not matter. Yes, as Pete says, Freemasonry is for any man, including Jewish, Christian, Hindu, Sikh. So when you ask me if I'm Jewish, it's irrelevant to the question about Freemasonry. Um, well, I guess Timothy has decided I'm Jewish, so be it. News to me how he would or would not know um, when I am, but there you go. Exactly, as legend says, who cares? And why would you care, right? Caring about one's religion or ethnicity is a pretty big red flag that you're not a good person. Caring about the size of one's nose is a red flag that you're not a good person. Um, Unlivid, hit the like and subscribe button. How about that? We're going to give this stream another 5 minutes and then we're going to end it for the night. We'll be back on tomorrow, 10 a.m. and 1 p.m. Um, well, maybe you should be on a different stream, First Person Victoria. You can always do that and tell all the truth you want or all the truth you claim to be telling. My experience, very often I put you in timeout because you speak nonsense. Give a like, give a subscribe, Jim XS, and we shall see. Well, even if it was an Israeli Mossad operation, I'm not saying it was or it wasn't, that doesn't implicate Jewish people or Judaism. That implicates a particular country and a particular, I guess, security service. It's not about the entire Jewish population. That's silly and a dumb way to look at the world. Um, that's right, someone dead. Thank you for being here as always. Um, Zach Allen, I think you're new to the stream. I don't recognize that name. Unless you have been on before, I just have not seen it before, in which case I apologize. But thank you for being here. I hope you're doing well. Um, what are ridges on coins? That's a very strange thing. That is true. That is true. That's also true of the United States, first person Victoria. That's also true of many countries, actually. The first lodges were formed before, at the very least, the official and current version of the country existed. Um, well, so be it, Dixon. If they want to log me, then I hope they will at least hit the like and subscribe button while they're logging me, for example. Um, Definitely not 109, I don't think. That seems like way too many. I can't speak the number off the top of my head, so you could be right, Timothy, but that strikes me as very much higher than I would have guessed. I mean, the Philippines, Italy, United States, Canada. Um, I mean, maybe Russia, but that gets very questionable because you have to take into account the revolution which outlawed Freemasonry. So at what point was it the modern country? I mean, Venezuela, maybe under Bolivar. Um, so Pete, Freemasonry ultimately evolved first and foremost from stone Masonic guilds in the Middle Ages. So in 1717, the Knights Templar ended on Friday the 13th, 1308. However, shortly after Freemasonry was formed, a French Freemason by the name of Chevalier Andrew Raymond gave a speech in which he claimed Freemasonry actually did evolve from the Crusades and the Knights Templar. But in my opinion, it's a chicken and the egg question. Freemasonry evolved or formed separate from the Knights Templar 400 years later. But then, because many Masons liked the symbolism and the lessons and the teachings and the ideas of the Knights Templar, they chose to create a connection historically that is ultimately apocryphal. Having said that, certainly Knights Templar, images and Knights Templar identity has definitely become a major part of Freemasonry, especially through the York Rite, and that's for the better. Rise with Raju. I know of David Goggins. Please hit like and subscribe. There are many Muslims in Freemasonry, Highlander. I've considered them, some of my best friends within Freemasonry are in fact Muslim, especially out of Dearborn, Michigan. Really good dudes. I don't think so, T-Rex, because I feel like that would cause a lot of people to die, and I'd rather people not die. So, no, let's not have any modern crusades. Ghost Samurai, please hit like and subscribe. I would very much appreciate it. Ghost Samurai, I never heard that story before, so I can't speak to it. I never heard that one way or the other. Masons are involved in charitable, charities, a lot of times for adults, for kids, for everything in between, right? But I've never heard that story before. We're going to give it a bit more time. Actually, we're going to give it one more minute, then we'll be ending this stream because it's 2 a.m. here and I need to get myself to sleep. They have the death penalty in many places. I don't know how many places have it by hanging, but I mean, I personally, this is just me, do not believe in the death penalty, but that's my own personal opinion. Absolutely. Well, no, Dixon, I would not say that is the case. Freemasonry actually does have 2 Masonic youth groups, actually more than 2, but I would say the 2 biggest are Demolay for young men and Rainbow for young women. Also, there are a lot of Masonic charitable efforts for kids. For example, Masons for Mits out of California, which collects money to purchase baseball equipment for little league and junior baseball teams. Shrine hospitals, right, have funded research for children's hospitals. Um, I think the Shrine has actually done probably more charitable work to support children with a variety of medical issues than almost any other group in history. Um, well, A plus, did you hit the like and subscribe button? That's the better question. I do not know what 60 countries is, Nilburn, to what you're referring. Um, no, stay away from me. If I say yes, I'm going to have a bunch of people running up to me and trying to hug me on the street. And I don't need that type of aggravation in my life. Um, that is for sure. Knights of Hospitaller, please hit like and subscribe. Thank you, A plus. I, generally speaking, spirit brother. I'm more of a believer in the education system, like sending your kids to a public school as opposed to homeschooling. Having said that, ultimately, every parent, I guess, will make that decision for themselves. I think, though, we are part of communities, we're part of a society, part of being part of that society is taking part in the public institutions, and that includes going to school. Um, well, they're definitely not that. They're not mocking anything. They're trying to pay respect to them. Um, the idea of them mocking it is kind of a very silly idea. It's a way to pay respect to the way in which our lodges originated, while at the same time moving forward in a within a civic or social or fraternal space, as opposed to a professional space. Um, well, I mean, did you get suspended for questioning the things, or did you get suspended for the manner in which you questioned them? However, questioning things by trying to prove a negative is a very it's not the best way to do it, put it that way. Gates Berserk, please hit like and subscribe. So I wouldn't call them services or fellowships, Pete, because that strikes me as kind of religiously coded, and Freemasonry is not a religion. There is no set day of the week. Rather, it depends on the lodge schedule. Here in Windsor, for example, we have a Masonic lodge meeting almost every night of the week. So it's one of those things where the best way to do it is probably to go online and see if you can find a meeting schedule. Or if you want to approach the lodge and ask about joining and you just don't know when to approach, like when people will be there, you can write them a letter or send them an email or even drop off a letter like in person, like slide something under the door, just expressing, or in the mail slot, expressing your interest in being a Freemason and providing your contact info. Freemasonry does exist in nearly every country in the world. It's one of the greatest things about Freemasonry. However, keep in mind it's decentralized. Within every country in the world, there is a different Grand Lodge or Grand Lodges with different jurisdictions and different Masonic requirements. So if you do, Dixon, and you want to learn more about it and maybe visit the lodge, swing by with a letter, and if nobody's there, just drop the letter off and express your interest in joining, along with your contact information. Yes, Nilburn, you are correct, though. I mean, being a Freemason is an honor, but there are many things in life that are an honor. Ultimately, the most honorable thing is to live a life in accordance with nature and in accordance with what you believe for yourself, right? To live according to yourself. If you're joining Freemasonry to chase honors, you're probably not going to get a lot out of it. You should join it because it speaks to your heart and your nature, not because you want to be honored or receive honors. Um, we're not 1,000 year society, Swamp Main. That's insane. It's 300 to 400 years old. I am a Freemason, Cactus. Are you a subscriber to this channel? That's the better question. By the way, please take a moment to hit the like and subscribe button. I'm going to be ending this stream very shortly because it's 2:06 in the morning. Cactus, I hope you'll come back on 10 a.m. and then 1 p.m. Eastern today. I'll be having some more streams. But thank you guys so much. I'll see you all very soon. All right, talk to you guys later. Got to get myself some sleep.